We are scanning the horizon always, looking for those opportunities and threats. And then what we're doing is we're using the road ahead of us to prepare ourselves to capitalize on that opportunity or defend against that threat. These are the things that we believe in. First, that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want. Second, that those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Number three, that the laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the vulnerable among us. And number four, that it is inappropriate to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. They came from you. They're your pillars. Hi, this is Doug Sharpe, host of the National Leadership Briefing, and this is the Midweek Touchpoint. Well, this week we are going to dial our focus into a very, very specific part of what you and I do together, and that is the developing of what we call your sphere of influence. That is you locally looking for people around you that share your views and values that you can work with and stay in relationship with and serve when we have an opportunity to speak with a unified voice on the things that are important to us. And of course, we always want to advance the four pillars and the principles of the four pillars into society, culture, politics, and government. So whenever we see an opportunity to do that, we want to capitalize on it. Or whenever we see a threat to one of those principles, we want to prepare a defense against that. But you building your local sphere of influence is really important. You finding those alliances in your own community and in your own orbit of the people that share your views and values is a big part of our success. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything to help you if you have retention problems. And that's what we've been hearing from some of you, is that some people are telling us that they talk to people, they talk to neighbors, other people in the church, and they might say, hey, we've got this group gets coming together and we stand for parental authority and the right of belief and freedom of religion, and we want to protect the vulnerable. And of course, we're really, really conscious of the amount of debt that's being piled on the backs of our children and future generations. And you invite people to let you serve them, to keep them apprised of where they might have an opportunity to advance these things themselves as well. So that if we hear that you're having challenges growing your sphere of influence and growing your reach locally, we want to help. And we think we have a tip for you here today that's really going to help. Now, one thing that we found on the National Leadership Briefing is that things are moving awful fast all the time. We get together on the first Friday of every month. We always only meet for 1 hour, and then we have these midweek touch points during the week, throughout the week between the briefings. That's not a lot of time to get together. So we want to make sure we use the time to the best advantage, and sometimes we have to move fairly quickly. So when you introduce somebody brand new to the National Leadership Briefing and introduce them to the idea of coming together on a regular basis and rallying around these principles, then they are joining something or coming on board something that is moving quite quickly. So we've got to my first suggestion is to slow it down a bit when you introduce it to them and bring it to them in increments. Like introduce the idea first of the four pillars, for example. Start with the story. Tell them a little bit about the four pillars and what they're all about. Tell them there's a group that gets together on a monthly basis, and ask them if they'd like to join the next call. Now, when you get them on the next call, let them know before they come on the National Leadership Briefing, let them know that things move fast and that you don't want that to in any way scare them or startle them, but things move fast because there's an awful lot going on. But the third thing I want to point out to you, which is a really, really important tip, is this arch that's over my head that says horizon right behind me, right? So here in the National Leadership Briefing, no matter what point it is that you join the briefing, that becomes your now, your present circumstance. That is when you are seeing the National Leadership Briefing for the first time. Well, what I'm going to suggest you do is when you do that is make sure you point out to the people that even though you're starting right now, we want you to think that off into the future, there's going to be an opportunity that we can capitalize on together to speak with a unified voice, or there might be something that is threatening to the things that we believe in, like parental authority, or maybe there's more debt being piled on the backs of our children. But we want you to immediately tell people that no matter when they come on the National Leadership Briefing, that we are scanning the horizon always, looking for those opportunities and threats. And then what we're doing is we're using the road ahead of us to prepare ourselves to capitalize on that opportunity or defend against that threat. This is why we get together on monthly increments, is because bit by bit each month we're preparing for that moment in time that we can see on the horizon when we need to speak and act in a unified way. Now, along the road there, I want to tell you what we're doing for you, and you can point this out to the people as well. You can let them know that we're going to screen out all the noise. We're going to make sure, because the time we have is so precious, is so brief each month, we're going to make sure that we're not going to let any of the noise, any of the mainstream media noise, there's going to be none of the political bias, and there's going to be zero ego, and it's all going to be focused on what we need to know to fully capitalize on the opportunity or defend against the threat in the future. And we're going to focus on the signal, the things that we definitely need to know, the hard facts, the data. We're going to do the right training that we need to do to be fully prepared at that time. So if you are having a difficult time with people popping on the briefing and popping off the briefing, I encourage you, please consider focus on and understand, letting them know that here it is, you're starting right now. We understand that things move fast, but we want you to really, really stick around long enough to understand and see the opportunities and threats that we're preparing for in the future. And of course, the best way to do that is to register the people for the National Leadership Briefing so they themselves can get that incremental brick by brick understanding along the way without feeling overwhelmed all at once. So that's my suggestion for you today, is get people registered, let them know it moves a little quickly, have them focus on the horizon, and tell them everything's going to be fine. And if you walk that road with them and are always just encouraging them and helping them along, I think you'll find the retention in your own local sphere of influence is going to be much higher. Well, I hope that's helpful for you today. We're sure excited about all the opportunities that we do have to capitalize on the future, and we're sure glad that we're all working together as we prepare for the threats that are on the horizon as well. So I look forward to serving you on the next National Leadership Briefing. And until next time, God bless you, God bless your family, and may God continue to bless this great nation of Canada. Bye for now.